What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome into the Tuesday Track Talk podcast, episode number 56, featuring your Three Stones pit crew. I am tonight's host, your gas man, Cam.
I'm your Jack Man, Kellen.
And I'm your tire changer, Cam.
And we've got another just jam-packed episode. So wherever you're listening, sit back, relax, and enjoy this show. We're going to talk about a dirt super late model champion that we crowned this past weekend. And then we're going to talk boots on the ground from across the country that we had this past weekend. And then we've got just a wild week of racing news and topics to discuss. So it's going to be a fun, jam-packed, interesting episode. So wherever you're listening, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. But before we always get into the racing content, let's just do a quick weekly check-in. The boys were boots on the ground from across the country. So how we doing on this Monday, boys?
The weather was beautiful.
Yeah, weather was amazing in Viva Las Vegas this weekend as well.
Yeah, I mean,
enjoy the sights and scenes there.
Couldn't ask for better October racing weather here in the state of Wisconsin. 75 degrees, the sun is out, and it's beautiful. No breeze, the skies were blue. I mean, what a way to finish the racing season.
About to say we had 75 pretty much down by us in Las Vegas as well. It was great for, as Cam would say, bebopping around to casinos and attractions and all that jazz. So
nice.
Yeah, that's one thing to be aware of in Wisconsin that just keeps you on your toes. Last week, for those of us that got to park the old vehicle outside, a couple days last week, I'm out there. The unplanned 5 minutes sitting in the car to unfrost the old windows.
Yep.
Had that last week, and then you get this week, and we're driving home from work, and I think probably a little bit warm, but my car said it was 84 degrees. So
I had 76, so we're not too far off.
But it just had a nice breeze out today too, and the breeze felt like kind of warm. So it was, yeah, you can't complain. So, well, love you guys and care about you, but we got shit to talk about. So let's get right into some racing talk. So, yeah, we crowned a champion here in the Lucas Oil Dirt Late Model Series this past weekend. And Ricky Thornton Jr. Is officially crowned the 2024 champion for the Lucas Oil Dirt Late Model Series. And we had interesting weekend. So I'll just kick it to you guys and get your guys' initial thoughts, and then I'll go from there.
Good weekend. Couldn't ask for much better. I mean, the weather was good again for this event. What was last year that track was rough last year. I remember that was the one that ran on a Sunday afternoon.
That was the one where the one super flipped on his own because he hit a rut so hard.
Yeah. So luckily we had quite the show, and Eldora just did Eldora things and produced. Qualifying and heats were awesome. A lot of passing. Set up for a perfect feature for Saturday night to crown a champ. So.
And it got interesting. Obviously, so McCready, just based on the math, was eliminated from the championship before even the race starts. So it's just a run for a race, a dirt track world championship win for him, basically. Yep. And, kind of looking at it too, with Moran starting as deep as it was kind of the RTJ and Davenport show as far as who was going to be your champ.
And our Davenport was going to have to win that feature. And I hope that RTJ struggled a little bit because RTJ had that 50-point buffer going in. So, and ultimately, Davenport did what he had to
Set
when he
himself up
got to the
for it.
lead. Yeah, he did everything he could ask for, except for that power plant decided it had had enough.
And that was right as he took the lead and was about to pull away.
I think he
Croft,
led. Was he credited with led one lap?
No, he had a few because he would be the leader at the line and they were side by side and stuff like that. But he was officially out front for I think like half a track
yeah,
type of thing.
yeah,
And I like look. I love racing, but it doesn't matter what discipline you're on. If there's one thing that just sucks, it's like if God could just eliminate mechanical issues from racing, that would be that would be awesome because whatever discipline it is, you hate, you go to the NASCAR side in a playoff race like this, like for a guy to get out there and at any point to his power plant is that he starts having mechanical issues and engine failures, that just sucks. Like
it is a test of man and machine.
Yep.
But
yeah,
I actually had a good feature, and I kind of wish he would have got it done if Davenport wasn't going to win it. I was on the McCready train.
Oh, absolutely.
After talking to him at Cedar Lake, I was on the McCready train. That he said they brought out an older car that they hadn't run since May to run that race. So to get back into that ride and have the night he did going to a backup into that featurette, I was just hoping if JD couldn't get it done, I was on the T Mac train. So unfortunately didn't quite have enough, but he led a good portion of that race.
And I only got to catch highlights of the race, but it looked like, especially when Davenport was first catching him or had caught back up to him, and McCready just kind of burned his stuff up, maybe trying to pull out so far ahead of them
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah, he was pushing hard.
and I was gonna say too, to your point, Kellen, it's hard not to be a fan, especially after talking to him. Hard not to be a fan of him, and then we'll get. I'm sure I didn't even look at the segment where we talk about the news in the racing world from this past week, but I would guess it's in there. But there's smoke about that Rocket One ride already, and yeah, it just sucks to see stuff like this happen to good people, and um, yeah, he's drove his tail off, and he's just a good down to earth guy, fun to talk to, and
And and we've mentioned it on here before too that car has been good ever since they introduced Rocket 2.
Yeah.
That new chassis. That team has been good.
Yeah. It was that 1.2 was kind of the resurgence of McCready's season.
Yep.
They unveiled that 1.2. He was really good. Boom Briggs had a 1.2. He all of a sudden came to life too. So there's something there with that Rocket 1.2. So who's to say? But still, in camp, to your point, still no news on the Rocket One program and or drivers. What?
we'll get to that later. I'm sure we'll spend about 5 minutes talking about that.
But yeah, so I mean, ultimately, what it comes down to is JD blows up with 36 to go, and here comes Bobby Pierce.
Yep.
That was pretty much the moral of the story. T Mac knew he was up there, or knew he was going to be up there because that's where he is. There's just nothing you could do. He was coming, and he was coming hard. It was kind of, he was going to be there at the end. It was just going to be a matter of, was he going to lead a good bunch of the race, or was he going to have to work to get through the field to get there?
Yep.
So, yeah, ultimately Bobby Pierce gets the job done for that that race. He made it all the way from 14th. That was a hell.
Yeah, he stormed his way through for sure. One guy that had a really good runner was at least fighting up there for a little bit. Josh Rice
Yeah. Yeah, good to see them
put
run well.
together a solid run early.
He You throw Josh Rice in the wild card category there. Forget where it was at. Was it at the Dome last year? I forget where it was, but Josh Rice, you throw him in the wild card, he'll show up to a racetrack and unexpectedly shake some things up and be running up front and compete for wins. So no, it's good for him. And
I
to
mean,
your point too about sorry, you gonna chime in on Rice?
no, I was just going to talk about Pierce. I mean, what hasn't Pierce won this?
Yeah.
And I was gonna say it's like you're going to the same destination and there's 4 or 5 different routes you can take. It really
Yeah.
doesn't matter where he starts and what way it's going to go. He'll be there at the end. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
him and that team are just they went nuclear.
Yeah. Figured out.
Him
Yeah,
and
and
Looking at,
he's even trying to storm back up to lead for the Outlaws too, as they
yeah,
get down to their end.
he was plus 13 on the night. So actually looking at the finish of the race, it was Pierce, McCready, RTJ third, Moran fourth, Blair fifth, Rice sixth, O'Neill seventh, Gustin eighth, Bronson ninth, Dalton Wilson 10th. Marler, Ferguson, Alberson, Chamberlain, Shepard round out your top 15.
Who Shepard ended up coming into the race through the last chance.
Who was plus 14 on the feature.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Or no, it wasn't even last chance. It was the non-qualifier race.
yeah, the winner got the choice, the check or the race. And they asked me, what are you going to do? Well, I don't. And he stops and he goes, I didn't come to sit in the trailer. We're racing.
Yep.
So, yeah. Oh, no, really great show. Eldora did Eldora things.
Yep.
So, really good show. I couldn't really ask for much more in a championship race. So,
I'll just pose this quick question before we move on here. A little bit of a revamped format after what we went through last year with the Lucas Oil. Just quick hit. What was your guys' thought on a little bit of the revamped championship 4?
thumbs up.
Yeah.
It's not a one-off. There's too much, excuse my French, too much shit that can go on in a one-off. But I think having a couple of races, it doesn't need to be a third of the season, but having 3, 4, or 5, whatever races it was, I think that's enough to put together a body of work to be able to get to that point. You got all season to get in the final 4. Now let's get it down to 5, 6, 7 races at the end of the year, and it's coming. So, thumbs up. I like the format.
Yep, thumbs up over here as well. I don't like the one shotter, because again, we just talked about it. It takes man and machine to cooperate, and too much riding on one night. Too much that could go wrong riding on one night for all your work to be eliminated over the course of the year. So you could have a bad night. You lock yourself into that championship 4, and you can afford a bad night and still have a shot at it. So. Appreciate that format, and I didn't get into the whole weeds, and I'm sure this is on the topics as well. But Lucas Oil announcing their schedule for next year already, so
And their payout, which we'll discuss in a little bit too.
in a little bit.
Yep.
So, yeah. So, and then ultimately, Ricky Thornton Jr. is crowned the Lucas Oil Series champion. I feel like that's after last year. He was not due, but he was owed one after having the year he had last year, not winning it.
His first championship series, national championship.
Yep.
Correct. So ultimately, he's crowned the champion, and that concludes. I don't know if that's the first. Is that the first series that's concluded that we've talked about, or
No.
Oh no, we got a lot of champs ready.
Oh yeah.
So first dirt super late model, yes.
Yep.
all right? Well, that's what I'm looking for. So, yeah, that wraps up the Lucas Oil Dirt Late Model Series. And as crazy as it is, they fire up in I think January 14th or January 19th, something like that already. So, um, shit, you're only looking at 3 months off, and you're back in the saddle. So, um,
Yep.
that is it for the Lucas Oil Dirt Late Model Series. So, as we always do, that was in Ohio. Let's go cross country out to the West Coast and let's head to the Cup Series at Las Vegas. And we did have boots on the ground there. We did have a pit crew member, not only in the stands, but he was in the he was behind the walls. He was in the shop area, the garage area. He was mixing it up there and getting some good content. So, Cup Series at Las Vegas. I got a couple interesting thoughts on this as we get into this, but I'll kick it to you guys. I'm sure we can start with the old tire changer and see what the at track experience was like out in Viva Las Vegas.
Yeah. So first off, it's early. Got to the track at a little before 8 o'clock. Local time out there. Well, race time was 11:30 local time.
Well, I suppose for us it's 1:30 here, but they're 2 hours behind
It's
out
2 hours behind there. So
there.
we got to we're getting to the track early.
No wonder you were home so early. I'm like, Jesus Christ, it's home already. You forgot about the time change.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. So no, got VIP passes through my work, which I am super grateful for because that was my first time on the Cup side doing the VIP passes. I did it for the Truck Series earlier this year at Milwaukee. Got to do a meet and greet with Blaney. Yep, kind of go through the pits, which was there for engine heats in the morning. Crew guys all around the place. I mean, that place was a busy. Garage area was busy that whole
That's
day.
awesome.
And then, yeah, I actually got out on a pit lane. Got to get up and close personal with the cars, and I did take a step through the pit boxes. It's sticky like the dive bar.
That's awesome.
So no, it was
That-
really cool. Very fortunate to be able to do that. Um, weather was great though too. It was high 70s, sunny, not a cloud in sight. Racing was perfect. So personally though, it was a tough start to the weekend because Blaney wrecked in practice.
Yep. Went to a backup right away.
Yep,
Which
and obviously starting in the back
that backup was good.
wasn't bad. Yep.
I mean, by the end, they were getting close to the end of the first stager, and he had it all the way up inside the top 20.
And it was a matter of just salvaging points at that point, just trying to get a good track position.
Because that first stage, he was taking no prisoners.
No,
That was hammered down, and I'm like, gee, I was concerned with that. We've talked about this next gen car with the ability to pass. I was worried for him at the drop of the green flag, not knowing what the passing situation was going to be like.
yeah, and there was a little bit of pit strategy to gain track position here and there too, which was
Yep,
warranted.
of course, absolutely. When you're that, you have to.
Yep.
So
So, but when they get going, obviously Bellstar for the pole, he was going to be a heavy favorite. Uh, there towards the end of the first stage, Dylan just absolutely drilled the wall after a bump from Hemrick.
oh, that thing was
Just drilled the wall.
junk, just junked.
Like you watch Hemrick's onboard too, and I guess racing. You know, I guess I'm not a race car driver, but you watch it enough, and you're like, dude, what's one thing you don't do? Driver etiquette 101. Don't push somebody going in or in the middle of the corner. And he
Oh,
just entry of the corner, getting to the middle of the corner, just gave him a bump, and it was, bro, hard 90-degree right hand turn. Right
Yeah, that
hand.
car just shot.
Um,
That was a huge impact.
oh,
I'd like to know what the G-force was in the reading of the car when that thing hit.
Oh, yeah.
I'd like to know what that data says. But
and
that was kind of the start of it.
that was the
Yeah,
start of
because
it.
then right on that ensuing restart, coming back off of 4 on the following restart, that's when all hell really broke loose. And you got Reddick, Elliott, MTJ, and Blaney in the wreck. And then Reddick goes for one of probably the slowest tumbles and farthest tumbles you'll ever see.
Yep. It was soft enough. He even managed to drive that thing.
He never
back to-
stopped.
Oh, yeah.
He
It
never
just
stopped.
tipped over, rolled upside down, and it kind of rolled, and he just right back into the pit stall.
Yep.
So obviously too much damage to finish after
Yeah.
going upside down, but that thing that you could almost see it never broke stride.
Yep. That was weird though too, and I mean we saw it before with Busher at Texas, I believe was the track it was, where he hit that transition from grass to concrete, got the air, and I don't know how or why that car turned as much as it did in the air, but I mean that thing turned enough so that when it hit the grass on the other side, that's when it just kind of caught it and went.
Yeah. But it kind of just like it kind of slid and then it just like gradually just like flopped
Yep.
over.
It was weird to see in the stands too, watching that thing go.
I believe it. I believe it because it wasn't just a ass over tea kettle. It just kind of flopped and kept rolling.
Yep.
So
There was a pretty good pop in the crowd when he just kind of kept driving off. I will say
I
that.
believe that.
I will say that. So, but that ultimately, like you said, that ruined his day. Elliott's day was ruined out of that. MTJ got away with that one, but Blaney got some damage out of it too, which just hindered the rest of his day as well.
Yeah.
Dude, I saw some memes about it being a matchbox car, seeing the bottom of his car, the underbody of that car being looking like a matchbox car.
Yep.
I forget what the picture was, but somebody stamped a Jordan logo on the on the
New
bottom of
sponsorship opportunity.
on the bottom of his car as it was mid flip and posted. I forget what they commented, but it was something funny. But
Yep. Well, this is what
yeah,
the 4th car that's gotten air.
Yeah.
yeah. And I mean,
3 of
this
them
is
that have actually flipped.
Yeah.
yeah, brings up this whole concrete to grass transition because that was, I mean, arguably one of the nastiest wrecks I've ever seen was the Priest wreck at Daytona last year.
Oh, yeah.
And Daytona said, "All right, we've seen enough grass out of that. Uh, throw some hot asphalt on that patch of grass." So I don't know.
I think that was just too weird of a scenario for anything to be done. If anything, you got to make it a smoother transition from grass to concrete.
Yep. Yeah.
That's what you got to ultimately do.
Yeah.
That's not the first time that's happened too. I saw this video of Paul Menard qualifying, and he did that same thing. He slid down in the grass, and you just saw that car just get air.
Of course, Menard did it in qualifying.
But like I bring up the point of like I wonder what happened of how it hit concrete for Reddick's car to start spinning in midair. Like
Right.
did it hit the concrete weird after like to make it start spinning, or was it weight related, or what was it that made that car start to spin in midair?
Yep.
Because it should have ultimately just kind of up back on all fours and gone from there.
Yep. Yeah. For sure.
So
I
I don't
mean,
know.
really looking at the race, that was the kind of the one, I don't know, quote unquote big one. There really was no cautions outside of Gibbs spinning on his own the rest of the race, and that left it down to strategy,
Yep.
which makes it really, really entertaining. You talk about tires and fuel mileage. Hamlin did not like any of that or either of it or all of the above. He struggled. severely.
Pit stops did not help him. Larson had a couple of bad pit stops as well.
Larson had issues on pit road. But ultimately, it was just left in the hands of stage breaks and strategy.
Yep.
How are you going to run the stage? You can split them in half. You can run long. It was very, very entertaining in terms of the strategy calls that were going to have to be made to win that race.
And you saw your comers and goers of runners as well. Obviously, Bell led a ton of laps, but you saw Byron up front. Bowman made a little bit of a charge. Truex made a little bit of a charge. Obviously, Reddick was fast up until he wrecked. So you had your kind of comers and goers, which were mainly the Chevys and Toyotas. Ford struggled for the most part up until the very end,
Yeah.
which we'll get to that. But definitely,
Yeah.
like you said, definitely came down to strategy.
Dude,
Mhm.
Hamlin had a stone at one point there. I mean, but he was sitting still there. All of a sudden, it
Yeah,
was
yeah,
a week after last week when I said, yeah, I think I'm gonna put the old DH11 in the final four, and then follows that up. But yeah, it was again, and I don't think it gets mentioned enough here when you come down the stretch here. Drivers can do they can execute perfectly, but this is a team sport, and the old boys behind the wall have got to execute because,
yep.
like you said, one bad pit stop changes the trajectory of the year for you, and you can't afford that at this point in the year.
Nope, absolutely not. Um, but no, so we get to the final stage, end up having a green flag pick cycle, which a lot of guys split that stage in half to go for fuel. There was talks about trying to run the entire stage, but a lot of the guys pitted. But that set up the strategy call for a lot of those guys, including Suarez, Logano. I think Hamlin was one of those guys. Chastain. So you had a lot of guys that were trying to play that strategy call, but ultimately it fell really well for Logano, who has been very well known to be one of the best fuel savers around.
Yep. And that's where it played right into his hands. Now, Logano should be buying Blaney a whole bunch of beer because he was helping him out along the way there.
Yeah.
Not only if push came to shove, Blaney was going to be in the way. Let's be honest.
Yep.
Now,
He was going to make it hard for Bell to get around.
correct. No, Bell had a very good point. Bell said in his interview, he goes, yeah, they're Penske teammates and this and that and the other thing, but ultimately Blaney was in the playoffs. And the bad part for Blaney was Logano winning probably was one of the worser-ish situations that
It
he
didn't help
had
his
happen.
scenario.
Correct. So ultimately, what it comes down to is, yeah, he was going to get the Penske guy into the final four, but for Blaney's own playoff situation, that probably hurt him more than someone else winning that race.
Yeah, absolutely. For sure.
So, um,
But oh, and that's just Blaney trying to salvage a day to go from that too. Um, Suarez was making it interesting though. He led a good amount of laps, was up there up until Logano finally went by him. Um, and kudos to Bell too, obviously with the fresher tires. He pretty much had an entire track that he needed to run the leaders down with.
yep,
It was like what, a 26-second lead that he had to
yeah,
eliminate basically.
yep,
And I think ultimately, I think one more lap and Bell would have had him personally.
yep, absolutely,
And that's just a matter of what it was.
yeah. Just played the strategy right and had enough to hang
Yep.
on at the end.
Yep. So,
So you guys can finish up your final thoughts here, and then I'm gonna pivot to a little bit of playoff structure here.
no, I was just gonna run through the top 10 real quick and then do like just where the playoff standings sit right now. So top
Okay.
10, obviously, Logano wins. Bell, after leading 155 laps, was second. Suarez third, Byron fourth, Bowman, good run for Bowman, fifth. That would have been interesting if he'd have played playoff spoiler. Truex sixth, Chastain seventh, Hamlin eighth, Nemechek ninth, and Buescher was 10th. Also, side note, being out in Vegas, I did put a bet down on the race. Bet on Logano, brought some cash money home with me.
Hell yeah.
So
Make sure that is reported for tax purposes.
nope, if it's under $1,200, you're in the free and clear.
Mm-hmm.
I got that clarification on that. So,
Brother.
one thing I want to bring up though on the point standing side of things, Kellen, you kind of mentioned it though with Logano winning that race. The bubble gap is honestly pretty big. Byron is ladybug flying around. Byron is 27 of the good, which means Hamlin is 27 out. Then it's 30 for Reddick, 30 or 47 for Blaney, and 53 for Elliott. So you got a lot of ground you got to make up for a few guys.
I feel like the point gap at the cut line is way bigger than it
It's
was last
a
year.
lot bigger.
Massive.
But you had four guys really that struggled in yesterday's race, as we record here on a Monday,
Yep.
that showed their playoffs.
Yep.
So we want to talk about the structure of this playoff structure of the playoffs that we are currently in.
And how it's kind of playing out.
Correct. First off, it's criminal that Kellen is on this heater right now. But think about what we just went from with Logano. Logano went from 1 week ago after the race being eliminated
Yep.
to Bowman not making weight to insert Logano to the next week winning a race and now locking himself in, and they are already working on their Phoenix car.
Yep.
I mean, that's in the matter of 7 days that he just went from being eliminated to for sure racing for a championship. I mean, that
Yep.
is
From the
Went
outhouse,
from-
the outhouse to the penthouse.
Exactly. Yep.
and I don't want to for sure. I don't want to give out the exact statistic, but I did see one of the things. Just what your thoughts are on it was saw somebody that said, it's time to stop taking NASCAR seriously. What a joke of a structure we had. I think Logano had 5 or 6 top fives the entire year. And
Up to that point.
now he's going to be racing for a championship.
He was 15th when the playoffs started.
He had 5 top fives going into that race.
Yeah, he was the 15th driver in the playoffs. He was there's one spot ahead of that 16th going in, and he's found himself in the championship for.
Mm-hmm. But who's to say that, we'll say that Logano was kind of a quote unquote wild card driver just based on how the seeding went.
Yep.
Just went on a playoff run.
Yep.
Given, yes, there's the circumstances behind Bowman and that whole scenario, which I'm surprised we didn't hear why he was light to start off with this weekend. But I guess that's neither here nor there.
Reality of it is the Penske cars were right, the Hendrick car wasn't.
Yep. And you got to take advantage of the opportunities you're given.
Yep, light is fast, but too light is not legal. So, yeah. But
you know what? When it's said and done, there's no asterisk in the book.
Nope.
About this either.
Nope.
So I don't know. It just the playoff lines itself up with the ball and stick sports. Is it what racing has been? No, absolutely not. But it's obviously storylines are there. The performance aspect is there, and everybody needing to hit on all cylinders. Everybody at the shop to make sure that car is legal, as we have now seen, to pit crews executing over the weekend, crew chiefs executing over the weekend, and the driver doing what they need to do. Everybody needs to perform when playoffs come around, from top to bottom.
22 teams done that.
Yep.
But
And they're doing it at their typical time too. I saw something that every even year from 2018
we're in the Final Four.
in the Final Four, and they won the first round of first race of the round of 8.
Yep.
To do it.
For sure.
They execute when they need to.
Yep.
And like you said, now they've got 3 weeks to prepare that Phoenix car.
And I guess I'm just thinking about locking yourself into the championship and how that works. Because, I mean, I guess it's similar format to, I guess, what you could look at, college football. There's 12 teams in the playoff, and it only takes one bad game for the number 1 seed to be ousted. So I guess similar thing, but I don't know.
College basketball's the same way.
Yep.
I only bring this up because obviously I'm a Packers fan, but the year that they won the most recent Super Bowl, they were a wild card team, went on the playoff run, invaded everybody's homes, and they won.
Yep.
Do you guys like or agree with if you win, you lock yourself in across the board?
Yes. I actually had this discussion with one of the people I went to the race with this weekend, and I actually added it to our list of conversations that we could possibly talk about in the off season. But
Don't give away all your points.
exactly, that's what I'm not trying to do here. But I think we could do a little bit of combination of the old chase format and this to make the system work.
Yep. I do agree that a win locks you in. I don't hate that. So
I don't know. But like I said, I've got some points. I'm going to try and remember them for when we bring this conversation up, because I feel like this will be a off-season topic that we'll bring up. But I think right now, at least, obviously, we got to run it through the rest of the season. But as they always say, don't hate the player, hate the game.
Yep.
So
yeah. That was a wild weekend out in Viva Las Vegas. And again, it's going to get interesting here down the stretch. The cut line is, like you guys said, interestingly wide right now. But, we've hit on all of it so far this episode. It takes one mechanical failure, and it takes one person to hit the right setup and show up and have a missile and drive that thing right to the front and be lights out. So I guess at this point in the year, drivers and crew chiefs, a lot of those guys are losing sleep right now, in and around the cut line. The only one that's sleeping well right now is the 22 team. So Joey Logano gets the win at Vegas, locks himself into the Final Four here, and he did the old 22 and 22. So we'll see if he can do the old 22 and 24. So,
yeah.
You guys got any other final thoughts?
Going to be a good run to the final championship 4.
Yep.
These next 2 weeks are going to be very interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
Then let's stay on some asphalt, and from one pit crew member to the next. We had boots on the ground here in the last super late model race in Wisconsin for us here, and we had the Falloween 150 at Dell's Raceway Park, and we had some boots on the ground. So kick it off to you, Kellen, and just hit us with the first initial thoughts.
Storylines. That's the one word I'm going to use to start this whole deal. Storylines. Friday practice day, so they had practice noon to 5. Quite a few cars there, at least on the super late model side. It took time. Quite a few guys took time. Ultimately, let's start with qualifying. Casey Johnson, your Alive for 5 point leader goes out and does not qualify himself into the show. 16 are locked in. He said he sent it off into one and it plowed like a truck. He was headed for the wall. So tires, don't know. There are a million things
Missed
going on.
something.
So anyhow, he goes through a qualifier race, wins his qualifier race, gets himself in. He starts, I think, row 7 or 8 for the feature. Before they even took the green flag, he had motor problems. Thought plug wire might have been a spark plug issue. So before the green flag even flies, Johnson was done. So that car was even loaded up and that hauler was gone before the race was over.
Oh, Jesus. That's not
So
surprising, though.
they wasted no time. There was a lot of cars actually that had pulled out before the big show was over. So they had that thing loaded up and they were gone. Again, mechanical issues, gremlins. Practiced all day Friday, never had any issues. It's that time of the year. A lot of miles on the motor. So it is what it is. So Johnson's done. That kind of takes him out. Basically coming down to the points, Fredrickson starts on the pole. Summers starts inside row 2. As they ran that first 3 quarters of the first half, pretty much ran caution free till about 8 to go to the break or 8 to 12 to go to the break. And Litchfield got turned around and won. They kind of got regrouped. They ran 4 or 5 more laps after restart. He got turned around again, almost damn near in the same spot. But then they get to the halfway break. It was a 10-minute time increment is what they were given. They pitted everyone in the infield. You had 10 minutes to do what you wanted. So working on cars, and after the 10-minute break is when stuff kind of gets rough and rowdy, if you want to call it that. Kendall got turned, blew up. I don't know. He rolls away from 1 and 2. They were trying to grab his attention, obviously did not know, but he made 1 complete lap around the track and he oiled down the entire racetrack.
Ugh.
Right in the racing groove. He obviously didn't know.
Yep.
Right? Knocked him. Per social
Can't
media,
knock him.
knocked an oil line out, didn't know. They actually stopped him. The car was on fire when they had stopped him. So that kind of starts it. So we get a little break, and your grandpa and I were actually sitting there. And we're like, "Where's the sweeper? Like,
Oh, God.
the broom. Where's the broom?"
Yeah, yep.
Standing there, I go down. I go to the bathroom. As I'm coming out of the bathroom, what goes by? Oh, the sweeper. And I get back up there, and Grandpa goes, "Well, that sweeper we were talking about." And he goes, "It's out there." I go, "I know. I was in the porta-john and it went rumbling by when I was in there." So they have a little issue there. They kind of get that situated, and we get back. They blow the track off. We get back to racing. I didn't see it, and I don't know how it went, so I'm not gonna put an opinion in there one way or another. Somewhere along the line, Storm and Sauter got together. Broke the left rear rim, had a flat for Sauter, kind of just collected. And when he got turned sideways, he got a shot, kind of a square shot in the door from Ryan Farrell. So that pushes the nose and the hood up for Farrell. He comes on the pit road. They're kind of looking at it, and I was listening to him at the time. They had a loose oil line and not a leak. So they were kind of scrambling with that a little bit. As he's on pit road, this is when the big one happens. The video, if you've seen it, seems to be somewhat of a polarizing either one or the other type of scenario. I don't necessarily have an opinion. Fredrickson gets into Summers a little bit, loosens them up. They get together right out of 4. Basically, Fredrickson pinches Summers to the wall, and as Fredrickson comes up, he gets turned around. Fredrickson ends up just off the wall, and Summers is down in the grass. Fredrickson had a ton of damage, so he was done. Summers was they were trying to diagnose it. They were worried about the tires because if you put another tire on, it was a 1 lap penalty. And so they're looking at it. Well, at one point, the track crew really didn't know what was going on. So one of the crew members jumped over the wall and they were helping them hook the car up because they were kind of confused as to what was going on. They get the car back. Well, pretty soon I start to listen to Ryan Farrell. Ryan Farrell all of a sudden is back in this points battle. Fredrickson's off. Summers is leaking oil. There's oil in something or another. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on. They put a tire on, they take a penalty. So all of a sudden, the urgency in the Farrell camp picks up. He gets back out. He starts making laps. And I was listening to it at one point. It was kind of funny. And he goes, "You guys, I'm not even joking this time." He goes, "That lucky dog thing really matters now." He goes, "I'm not joking this time." Well, anyhow, they're starting to count laps. They're starting to count laps. And at one point, James Story gets turned around with like 20, 25 to go. He gets turned on 1 and 2. And Ryan Farrell's on the radio. "I will buy him all the beer in the world. Tell him to pull off. I need that spot." He goes, "Tell him to be done. I will buy him all of the beer in the world." He goes, "Tell him to be done." Well, the spotter comes on and he goes, "Well, they're taking their headsets off." He goes, "Whatever happened, they're done." He's like, "Okay." But anyhow, you start to play the points battle, and ultimately Farrell needed that wreck to happen a lap or two earlier. So he was in it until the bitter end. They were taping the hood down, pushing the hood down. Were we going to take the hood off? They kind of went back and forth. But ultimately what it came down to is Fredrickson couldn't finish. But then under every caution, Summers was having some overheating issues. They brought that car down to pit road, and they would run the fans through the motor and the radiator to cool it off to make laps. So he didn't finish the race. He didn't make all of the laps, but he did enough to secure the title because he just needed to make laps to score points on Fredrickson.
Different championship battle there, not a matter of, this guy's got to finish better than the other. It's purely, okay, I got to make sure I run more laps than this guy.
Pretty soon, Farrell, they were counting laps. They needed that wreck to happen 1 or 2 more laps, and they'd had the Alive for 5 title. So, a lot of storylines all over the place. Really, I mean, Fenhouse had the car to beat. Kaler kind of gave him a push a little bit here and there, but he never really got a run on him or got inside of him enough to really have a chance at making a move for the lead.
Yeah.
So Fenhouse just that second half of the race was the car to beat, and he was really good. So, but thoroughly entertaining. So,
well, I'd say, and that was especially for Farrell coming off that, obviously the national short track championship, a lot of confidence going into that race, I'm sure.
Yeah, for sure. He had a decent car. At one point, he was on there. He goes, "You're never going to believe this. This thing is really free." I'm like, well, obviously the thing's been tight all day. If you hear, "You're never going to believe this. It's really free." So he was just very much, he goes, "You're never going to believe this. It's really free." Yeah, but no, I mean, really, it was a good race. There was a lot of storylines. I do have to say they did a really good job of updating the points championship as they ran. Like, even had a caution. Fredrickson was running second. Summers was running third. And it kept continuing updating. As they run at this exact moment, Fredrickson is your champion by 1 point, with Summers running second or third to him. So, they did a very, very good job of updating points as they went. So,
solid.
Yeah, it was wild. A lot of action all across the board. So, a little more eventful than last year's event. So,
and it definitely in a different kind of fashion too.
Yeah. Yep. For sure. So ultimately, looking at the race itself, Luke Fenhouse picks up the feature win. Kaler, Gady, DeAngelis, Lemke, Storm, Swanson, Marthaler, Edmonds, and Billy Mullen round out your top 10. So, and then for the Alive for Five, Gabe Summers picks up his second Alive for Five championship with Fredrickson, Swanson, Johnson, Farrell, Storm, Fenhouse being your top 7 in points. So it was kind of the wrap up for the final
Midwest Super Late Model race.
pretty much Midwest racing collectively.
Yeah.
And it pretty much kind of wraps her up for the year. I mean, there might be one or two more other shows up here yet, but
got a lot of either destructions or derbies and stuff like that, but
yeah. So no, highly entertaining start to finish. From qualifying right to finish.
Cool deal. Get John Sauter back in victory lane.
He was trying. He was up to second or third. Was he running third at one point? Well, he ran right by DeAngelis, and he was working on. I believe he was working on Kaler. But like I said, I didn't catch that kind of collection in 4, so I really don't know what exactly happened there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, hell of an event. Beautiful day. Same weather as you had. It pretty much was low 70s. The breeze would blow, so you never really knew if you were sweatshirt or t-shirt. You're always in the middle. But yeah, good event. If you've never been to Dells, get there.
Amazing track.
Amazing track. Great facilities. Food is fantastic. I had another cheeseburger.
Attaboy.
I don't know. It just doesn't quite take Madison, but it's a very, very close second.
And at some point in time too, sorry, I'm flicking ladybugs here as they're crawling over this goddamn desk. We're gonna hit the taco truck.
Yeah. The guy sitting to my left did. He got the loaded beef tacos loaded pork tacos.
Sure.
It smelled really good.
Just one of these times.
That's why he missed half the feature, because he's in the bathroom.
But yeah, it smelled really good. I didn't. Knowing you got a 2-hour car ride home, that's a dangerous game.
Yeah.
And especially when a lot of it's out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, and I know that drive very well.
So, yeah, really good event. Good wrap up for the season. Like I said, if you've never been to Dells, you got to get there. Again, I kind of feel like it's a little bit like the Eldora thing when we just keep saying the place produces. It does.
Yep.
It absolutely does.
Dells is hands down the one track I visit the most on the year.
Yep.
Hands down.
So
yeah, like you can.
That was the Falloween 150.
I feel like the Dells, like right away, you can always, with the old Eldora and Jonathan Davenport, it's like the old Dells and Luke Fenhouse.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, well, should we head to our favorite part of the podcast?
Oh, wow.
Don't scroll too far because we had to go into next week's episode.
Okay, so that is part of it.
Yep, that came out about 20 minutes ago.
Okay, I'm gonna clean this up a little bit then, but
yeah, I was just gonna jump into that and start with that right away. I just saw that announcement come out.
Go ahead and start there. I mean, this is a mess.
All right,
I'm gonna try and mark them off here as we get them, because I mean, this list is about yay long.
So
yeah,
go ahead.
Just strike through as one talks about it. Somebody strike it through.
Yep.
As of about 40 minutes ago, Jonathan Davenport puts out an announcement that he will reunite with Rumley Enterprises for the National 100 and the World Finals. So he goes on to say, on the heels of disappointing end of the World Dirt Track World Championship, which placed in third. Jonathan Davenport is excited to announce tonight that he will pilot the K&L Rumley Enterprises 6th car in a pair of late season special events. First time on November 2nd and 3rd, 50th edition of the National 100 at East Alabama, and then XR Super Series, same place for a 10,000 prize, and then he will hop into that same car for the dirt track.
The World Finals.
World Finals at Charlotte. So he'll be hopping in there, and then he goes on to try to squash out rumors right off the bat, and then he starts his portion of the announcement out with his quotes saying, first off, before any rumors get started, I plan on being the driver of the Double L Motorsports number 49 as long as Lance Landers and his family will have me. So,
yeah,
he'll be back in the 49 to close out the dirt season at the Dome, which I didn't realize the old 49 is heading to the Dome. So, JD spreading his wings a little bit, but does sound like this was he drove back for Rumley from, I think it said 2014 to 2016. So not a total stranger. No. Said that Rumley's basically helped him amass a bunch of wins and put himself on the map. So
68 features in 3 seasons. Think about that for a minute.
Not too shabby.
Yeah, it's not bad. So he'll be piloting. Jesus, that driving. Yeah, good call. Driving that Rumley number 6 here. So it's gonna be odd to see him not in a 49 car, dude. If he ever gets booted from that 49, the amount of merch.
Man.
Yeah. Wow.
The price of that stuff through the roof.
Dude, that number better be retired if he ever gets booted from the 49. So.
Oh God. We don't need to start that conversation.
Right. Anyways, so little interesting move for one of the biggest names in dirt super late model racing.
Yeah, so kind of going off of that, let's jump into the second part of this. Earlier in the week, Chris Madden announces that he will be leaving RTJ as the crew chief at the end of the year. And just per Flow Racing, he just says he's going to pursue a business adventure.
Just odd.
Yeah.
Just odd.
I want to wonder if he wants to drive again. I wonder if he's got the bug. But
yep.
So
either way, I think RTJ will be just fine. And I'm sure Chris Madden will be just fine as well.
Madden will not go unnoticed, and he will find his footing somewhere.
Yep.
For sure. So
sticking on the dirt late models, we'll kind of wrap the late models up with this one. So we referenced this one a little bit earlier about smoke in the air, especially around that Rocket 1 ride. Some rumors about Shepard and Richards partnership kind of heating up. Josh Richards, if I remember the name right.
That'd be Mark Richards, who owns Rocket. That'd be his son.
Yep. Former champ in late models as well.
Yep.
Partnering up again to run a possible car.
So I guess here's the issue. Here's where the issues that I have is, look, this podcast is awesome for pouring gas on coals and starting fires. But we didn't even have to do that. Rocket's doing it themselves. Those coals are smoldering right now, and Rocket is pouring gas for us on it right now by putting out the Step Brothers and pictures of Bishop and Richards together. So we don't even have to get out the gas for this one. They did it for us, but yeah, they're teasing us. They're alluding to it, and it's starting to heat up more and more. So,
Yeah.
again,
Well,
another
best part about
Yep.
the best part about this is the dirt late model off season is not very long.
Nope.
So these announcements, when they come, they're going to come heavy and they're going to come often because the second week of January, when you're going to start to run for a title, you're going to have a driver in your car. So December is going to be a heavy month for dirt late model announcements, I have a feeling.
Yep. Absolutely.
So just stay tuned to that whole scene. My, oh my.
All right. Should we jump back up to the top of the list here?
Yep.
Late model side here, real quick. Some somber news here. Bob Gill, two-time Snowball Derby winner, passed away at age 65 over the week after a long battle with brain cancer. Obviously, two-time Snowball Derby winner. That says enough as it is.
Yep.
One of the greats at it.
Yeah, a lot of highly ranked super late model drivers have had a lot of good things to say. So very, very positive influence especially in the snowball world as well.
Yep.
So yeah. Jumping down to the next one. Let's get into some of the news on the NASCAR top tier side of things. Spencer Boyd will pilot the number 76 Freedom Racing Enterprises entry in the Truck Series full-time next year. So 76 has a driver for 2025.
And with that, after some rumors kind of circulated around, Rackley War has their driver for 25 as well. Dawson Sutton steps in.
No surprise there.
Nope. Yeah, you got the next one? Or do you want the one after that?
I'm gonna just hit a random one here. Actually, I'll keep it local here. Justin Mondyke, another local guy here in the central Wisconsin area, announces he's going to continue his few starts that he's been dabbling in the truck series with Young's Motorsports, and he is going to be piloting a Young's Motorsports truck at Homestead this weekend. So, again, we've mentioned it here. He's had a handful at Bristol, Kansas, and now Homestead. So, love a Central Wisconsin, grassroots, super late model guy.
Yeah, with the backing of El Bandito Yankee Tequila.
Yep.
So obviously a heavy investment in that program for them. For
sure.
Another kind of truck series super late model news. KHI and Rackley War are kind of teaming up for 2025. Basically, what's going to happen here is KHI will manage the super and pro late model programs. Obviously, with the connection with Keelan, being that he's done a little testing and looking to potentially make a move up next year for him. And on the truck side of things, Kevin Harvick will consult both the team and the driver for Rackley War. So kind of a swap-in services, one might say, per se. Kevin working
assistance services too.
Yeah, kind of helping each other out in different avenues. So KHI going to take care of their late model program, and Harvick going to help them on the truck side.
Help me help you.
Yep.
Of note with
whoever's in that truck program, when Keelan gets to be 16, take note.
Well, that was Dawson Sutton, as we just said.
So let's think 1, 2, 3 years down the road, I better have a job.
Yep.
Of note, real quick,
your ass is going to be burnt.
Yeah, gotta remember, Kevin Harvick also had his truck team way back when as well, so he's not unfamiliar with the whole truck scene as an owner.
Nope.
So
it's pretty smart about racing stuff too. So
yeah. Let's knock out some Xfinity news here, and boy, there's a lot of it. Ryan Ellis will be driving full time for GDM Racing in 2025. leaving Alpha Prime Racing, as I believe where he was at earlier.
Yep.
Um, I'll take this next one then too, and then we'll kind of go from there. Uh, William Sawalich, burning up the scene in the ARCA side of things, has a handful of truck starts this season. Will actually be making the big jump and will be in the Gibbs Xfinity car in the number 18 for 2025 full time. Kind of a surprising one. News dropped today on Monday.
Yeah, I was thinking,
I
there's a
was
lot of
thinking
rumors.
truck
Yep, there was a lot of rumors around him going to Tricon.
and
He
that one
had,
car, that one truck. Yep.
yep, he had a handful of starts with them. I mean, the truck series is kind of wide open for the taking right now.
Yeah, and this is on the heels of Swalich making his Xfinity debut this weekend as well.
Yep. So a lot of confidence in that young man.
Yep.
Minnesota driver.
Yep.
Another Midwest guy.
Cam, you want to go ahead and grab this next one?
Yeah, so I'll just grab these next two actually. An announcement of the Joe Gibbs 54 camp. So, first off, we announce Taylor Gray is going to be driving the 54 Xfinity car full time in 2025. And then simultaneously, it gets announced that Ty Gibbs will be listed as the owner of the 54 Xfinity team in 2025. So, um,
I don't know how much of a deal that is. I would be interested to see when the point standing, obviously when we start getting points next year, how the owners' points play out with that. Because obviously that's where the money comes into play.
Right.
So is this Ty getting the money or is this Grandpa getting the money? That's
Well, yeah. See, I was kind of.
because for years Jeff Gordon was the car owner technically for Jimmy Johnson, way back when,
Yep.
but it was a Hendrick car. So take it for what you feel like it's worth.
Yeah. Yeah. It technically could still be Gibbs
Gibbs,
Racing.
yeah.
I I don't know.
I'm gonna look something up here, but you keep going because I'm curious. I saw
I
something
know
I'm
that's
curious.
that's an interesting move. I don't know it. I'll be curious to tell. We'll see what kind of comes of that. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, so the one thing I wanted to look at was because Joe Gibbs obviously has his ARCA program. Ty Gibbs has been making a lot of just been around for a while in that garage area. It is Joe Gibbs listed as the owner on that said ARCA car.
Okay.
So
Hmm. Stay tuned to see what comes of that when we start talking about wonder points for next year.
yeah,
Interesting dynamic.
yeah, and then
So
you got to figure did he pony up any money for that, or was that just hey, you're
I don't know
part of
what money he's got. The
I
kid's
don't know.
21. I mean, I don't know about you, but I was spending my beer money at 21.
Yeah, correct. I wasn't buying an Xfinity team. I can tell you that. I wouldn't be here doing this if
yeah,
I was.
no kidding.
Yeah.
That or we'd have a couple million followers on here, one of the two.
Oh man.
Um, but we'll just keep trucking right on ahead. The next one. Bubba Pollard announces that he's going to get to run Martinsville for Sam Hunt Racing with sponsorship by Sunny.
Cool
So
deal.
yeah, he's back. You know, it's a win-win for both those programs.
Yep.
He obviously raced with Junior Motorsports at Richmond, but this is an opportunity for Sam Hunt. One, to get him in the car, a good publicity for them, but two, it also gives them some intel as to where he might be able to help them with their program a little bit in his very limited knowledge.
I don't know if somebody brought it up when this news broke during our group chat, but Bubba runs a, I mean, obviously this is just decals on at least on the Super, but he runs a Ford Super Late.
Yep.
Obviously
This
he's
was me.
juniors Chevy. Yep. and now he's running Toyota. So I don't know. I just you talk about where alliances lie, and obviously I don't think there's a manufacturer alliance for Bubba,
Might be the furthest thing from it.
but that keeps his opportunities open.
Bingo.
So
Yeah. All right. Well, who's got the next one? I think we finally make it to the Cup Series now.
yeah,
I'll jump right in here. Just another we've been scratching our brain with this team since in this organization the entire year. And I thought throughout the year we would stop scratching our brain, but no, my head is sore because I'm still scratching. And colleague announces Travis Mack is out at colleague as the crew chief of number 16, effective immediately as of October 16th. So he's out. He came over from Trackhouse. Um, don't know what the story is there. Head scratching move. I don't know. I don't know what colleague is doing, to be honest with you. It's like I'm not no dis. I hate saying no disrespect because when you say no disrespect, you know the next thing that's coming is disrespect. But um,
Not wrong.
but no disrespect. Um, it's hard for Travis Mack to get a feel and to show what he can do when you're rotating Derek Kraus, AJ Allmendinger, Ty Dillon,
Shane Van Gisbergen.
shit SVG. Like there's no chemistry there. You don't every guy likes his car set up differently. I mean
It's easier to do the All-Star car in the Xfinity Series than it is the Cup Series.
yeah.
Absolutely. And the
So
fact that all the other things that go along with this Cup car that we have, passing, package, tires, downforce, horsepower, call it whatever you want to call it. You might get just a bad package on a bad track, and that's what you're dealt with.
And for the fact of like SVG, Dinger, Dylan, like those guys where they're running full-time Xfinity at that, jumping back and forth between those cars isn't exactly easy to do either.
No, no,
no.
no, because they don't drive anything alike.
Nope. Nope, absolutely not.
So,
So
kind of going with we talk about alliances in who's wearing what. NASCAR announced that Toyota will now race under the Toyota Gazoo. Is that how you say that? Gazoo?
they I'm out of the loop on that one. Can't help you there.
GAZO Racing to align with their worldwide programs. TRD will still exist, but they will be more so engines and technology. So
Just
Toyota
a
kind of announcing they're going kind of different departments for said pieces of their program.
more of a housekeeping and formality type of thing, I think.
Yeah, Toyota Gazoo Racing. If I'm saying that incorrectly, please correct
Yeah.
me. But
I'm gonna
GAZO.
I'm gonna jump this next one because I think this one's gonna take a little bit. I'm gonna head back to the dirt real quick, cover some sprint car stuff. So it was announced that CJB Motorsports and Spencer Baston have parted ways. And then very quickly afterwards, it was announced that Spencer Baston will be driving for Jason Myers Racing in 2025 with the High Limit Series. That car was previously occupied by Corey Day. His schedule will be as allowed with the asphalt side of things.
Oh, that
So
seems
whenever,
Corey Day is going to go asphalt racing primarily in
yep.
2025.
So whenever Day can race, Jason Miles will have a second car.
Yep, 2-car program.
So, all right, we'll
I
see
think
where this one,
let's jump down to this bottom one here real
this
quick
one,
and cover that one.
sure. Uh, I like to take this one because I do like my radio calls on this. On the PRN side of things, Doug Rice, who is the president of PRN and has been the lead uh, commentator for PRN, announced earlier this year that he was going to be retiring. Vegas was his last race call. over the weekend. So after 36 years of broadcasting, he is retiring. So
Damn.
just cool. Obviously, he's as influential as the MRN crew has been on NASCAR. So just cool to give him a little recognition. And obviously, he's great at what he does as well. Fills in on Sirius XM every once in a while as well. So
Yep. Absolutely.
so wish nothing but the best in retirement for Doug Rice.
Bet. All right. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. This is
Another can of worms on this deal here.
So NASCAR comes out kind of in response, not in response, but in relation to the antitrust lawsuit that Front Row and 2311 have filed. And NASCAR says in 2025, they anticipate that there will be 32 chartered teams, not 36 as there was in 2024.
So I was thinking about this. Other than that whole deal, I was thinking, okay, you got two for 2311.
Yep.
You got two for sure for Front Row.
Yep.
Well, I thought we had confirmed that Front Row had bought a third charter.
They did. They announced that they did.
So where's that fifth charter? Where's that third charter for Front Row at? Is that one in? Is it not?
Is somebody not happy with how that transaction
went down? Did a transaction get canceled? Like what? What happened here?
I kind of wondered that myself because I'm like,
we're a charter short.
Yeah, the math ain't mathing.
Yeah, we're a charter short somewhere.
That 2 and 2 is not making 5.
No. So, but to that point then too, it's now because obviously didn't like 2311 Front Row had put in injunctions to still compete under the charter
agreement. Yeah.
Agreements in quotations or beneficiaries of said charter system. And now it's okay, are they going to be getting the money? Are they guaranteed spots, starting spots? Or are they going to get the benefits of the charter system? Or are they going to be considered open teams and you're on your own?
I'm going to have to assume that they're open teams and they're going to be on their own.
And that adds a whole nother layer to this whole thing as well. Again, of note, these are two newer teams to the program, and they're not a Gibbs. They're not a Hendrick at RCR.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if they're stuck. Obviously, I'm sure there's conversation. Excuse me. I'm sure there's conversations going on behind the scenes, but nothing a lot publicly said between any of those teams as far as where their alliances lie.
Right.
And how this whole thing's going to go. So, but I think it's also one of those, let's finish the season. Let's let the championship be in the spotlight.
Yep.
And we'll figure this out in the off season.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know. You got to be careful biting the hand that feeds you.
Yep.
I don't know. I mean, really do the situation is the lawsuit thing will settle some of this.
Yep. And obviously
if it really is a wrongdoing, then that will justify that situation, or a monopoly as they're calling it. But you also got to be careful, not, like I said, not biting the hand that feeds you. Because now you're going to be out that charter money. Now you're looking at going, okay, so now I got to go do some serious sponsorship work, like now.
Yep.
So now you're putting a lot more in your marketing and sponsorship departments to try to keep your people in the building, that you're not losing resources that are working on these cars day in and day out.
And especially when Hamlin said at their sponsorship expo meeting, whatever, that we will be racing in 25.
Yep. Yeah,
So.
there's a lot of different elements, a lot of collateral that can go down with all of this as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't expect anything from now until the end of the year. Like I said, I would agree with you guys. I think the playoffs are going to be in the champion. They're going to be in the spotlight. They're not going to want to ruin that for somebody. So I would say about right after Thanksgiving, I think you could start to see some stuff unravel. come about December. So,
It's gonna get dicey.
yep.
And I think I threw this in our group chat too. It's only going to get worse before it gets better.
Yeah, it's just gonna be how worse it gets is what it comes down to.
Yep.
So, yeah, stay tuned for that. So, I
And
go ahead.
nope, carry on.
I was just gonna lead to the next conversation there, so that's where I was headed. But go ahead.
Yep, carry on.
I was gonna say we talk about chartered money and we talk about providing teams with money. Lucas Oil announces their championship layout for 2025. Champ takes home 250 grand. Second place is 200 grand. Third 175. Fourth 150. And then I think they said fifth to eighth will be 100 grand. You want to talk about ponying up some money?
Mm-hmm.
Hello, Flow Racing. It's Lucas Oil Dirt Late Models presented by Flow Racing. Flow Racing is not effing around with this anymore. They've said, watch this. And their schedule is a little bit different. They also announced that all of their Friday shows will be $15,000 to win.
Which that'll drop
Knoxville
$20 in.
Nationals, Silver Dollar Nationals, and the Show Me 100 will all be 75 grand to win. And then the championship format will remain with 10-point bonuses for every win throughout the year. So winning means more on top of all of the money that they are sticking into this. And then they also announced that Flow Racing is a multi-year partnership agreement to be the exclusive broadcaster of the series.
Thank God.
Yeah, no kidding.
Jeez.
You know who's nervous though?
What?
Who's nervous?
The old Woo gang. I mean, so we've kind of debated it back and forth here a little bit offline last week after they announced it, and we already said the scheduling is definitely interesting. You can tell it's an East Coast based series, and it is what it is. And I guess that kind of brought up the whole question of when I posed the question of, is this payout in this layout going to draw any Wu Gang guys to make the switch? And then we kind of, the more we got into it, talked about, basically it's kind of more of a geographical thing. The more we kind of looked at it, is like the Luke Soil is more of that East Coast series, and then you look at the World Outlaws, and that's based on where you're at. Like Bobby Pierce is in Illinois, he doesn't want to go run the East Coast series, and you look at the World Outlaws schedule, and it's North Dakota, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Illinois, Iowa.
Yeah.
So, no, but I mean, you want to talk about digging deep into your pockets. Wow.
I think the other thing too is, and this is different from the Outlaws on the sprint car side of things, is the light models for the Outlaws don't have a what's the phrase I'm looking for? Commitment program. I'm trying to remember the official wording of it.
Yeah, like Lucas Oil has their perfect attendance program.
Yeah, and it's like ASA has their program as well. I'm gonna look it up here so I know what I'm looking for. Oh, that's not the point standings I'm looking for. This one.
Not contingency. What
They've got their it's called their winter circle program for them.
Yeah.
But either way, the late models on the outlaw side of things are free to run whatever schedule throughout the year that they want. Whatever races you run are the points you get. Simple as that. So and you can run as many races outside of their program as you want as well. So that's where I don't think the World Outlaws are as nervous on the late model scene as I could see them being on the sprint car scene.
Yeah.
Or it is purely just a geographical thing, and it's okay, what
Yep.
I'm going to get
That,
my guys in this region because that we're hitting more out of their shop than anywhere else.
yeah, that's fair. I mean, the other thing I think you look at this is they also announced that their rookie of the year will pay 20 grand again. So let's theorize this way. Theoretically speaking, let's just do this for practice. Bobby Pierce decides he's going to run the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series next year. If he hasn't, this is all theoretical. If he hasn't previously done so, he could win the Rookie of the Year and the championship for $270,000. On top of any other contingency programs, which I think they had like 14 this year in terms of poles and heat race wins and fast times, and they had a Brandon Ford TV Challengers
Hard
Crown Jewel Cup.
Chargers.
Yeah, he could walk away with $300,000.
Hmm.
Now, highly, highly, highly doubt that'll happen. Theoretically, that could happen. That's a lot of money, folks.
Yeah, it is.
Well, again, it would take a lot to do that, and that would be the Wu gang would be really nervous if that happened. But
You guys might be able to tell me this better than I can, but I feel like too, it's like the Outlaws have had their guys for years. Lucas Oil has had their guys for years. And
yep,
there's never really been a lot of crossover or switching of said guys over the years.
yeah. I mean, the only one that really has made probably a drastic change or switch, probably Bishop.
Sure.
He's gone back and forth, but he's I believe he's a four-time World of Outlaw champ. Like you win
Not
it,
much more you can do.
yeah, you win it four times. You might as well go try to win Lucas Oil. So different than Brad Sweet winning 5 World of Outlaws and then going running a high limit. What else you got to prove? You won it 5 times, you know.
Yeah.
The only
Given
thing
there's other circumstances behind that. And you're
right.
correct, 4-time.
So, he's the only one that's kind of somewhat made some changes. Very well could be influenced based on one. Thinking
Yep.
about this, Gammon mentioned he was racing for Rocket. Rocket obviously has traditionally been a Lucas Oil program. Where is Brandon Shepard out of? Newbury Lane, Illinois. Where does World of Outlaws run? The Midwest.
Midwest. Yep.
Makes sense.
Does Rocket have 2 programs? We talked about Richards jumping back in. Does one run Outlaws? One runs Lucas Oil. Does
It's
Tim
no
McGreedy
different.
stay in and still run Lucas Oil?
It's no. It's no different than what Skyline's doing. Skyline's got one car in World Outlaws. They got one in Lucas. I've never understood that.
Well, you want to talk about Roth Motorsports? They've got one in World Outlaws, one in High Limit.
Never understood it.
Just cover your grounds.
But yeah,
Can't win it if you're not there.
amen. So yeah, a lot of news in the dirt late model scene there. So big money.
Stuff is getting good.
Yep. At the end of the day, hopefully that brings the pay up on the World Outlaw side too. Hopefully they can benefit as well. Obviously, we're Lucas Oil guy. I'm a Lucas Oil guy primarily, but hopefully the World of Outlaw guys on the other side can benefit from them seeing this and going, all right, we got to help our guys out too.
Yep.
So ultimately, we need them to make some money to be able to race to put on the shows for us, is what it comes down to. So, well, should we preview a few races here and then get this bad boy wrapped up?
Do some championships too.
Yep. All right.
Cam, you got it, or you want us to take it?
Race winners,
Yeah.
I'm locked in.
All right, go for it.
Mars Tour Pro Late Model at North Wilkesboro, Caden Honeycutt. Woo Sprint Cars, the dirt oval at Route 66. Aaron Reitzel gets a win. Live for 5, we touched on at Dell's. Luke Fenhouse, cars 2 are late model stock cars at North Wilkesboro. Connor Jones, Lucas Oil Dirt late models at Eldora. We touched on Smooth Operator Bobby Pierce, NASCAR Xfinity Series. AJ Allmendinger, locks
Final
himself
four.
in. Yeah, Final Four
Yep.
bound. In his last Xfinity Series or last season full time before going back to Cup. Pass super late models at Oxford Plains Speedway. Joey Dorian gets the win. USAC Silver Crown at Lucas Oil Indianapolis Raceway Park was Cody Swanson. World Outlaw Sprint Cars at the Dirt Oval at Route 66 again was Buddy Kofoid. Old G1 in Austin. If I heard this correctly, Charles Leclerc.
Charles Leclerc.
Leclerc. Not to rip on the old G1, if I heard the statistic correctly, I'm pretty sure he got the lead in the first corner and led every single lap. So,
Fun fact, I'll throw in here real
the
quick.
statistic that the real racing was for second and third. So,
Yeah. Saw a lot of setup for their Vegas Grand Prix while I was down there as well.
Yeah.
I also heard some prices about what some seating is around there.
You ain't going, are you?
No.
does that come with energy drinks or no?
What's that?
Does that come with energy drinks or no?
No.
Yeah. Jesus.
Be in the stands till 3 a.m. So,
Oh.
anyway, so the old G1 at Austin apparently was just an absolute snoozer of a race. NASCAR Cup Series we touched on. Joey Logano 22 locks himself into the Final Four, and then NASCAR Wheel and Modifieds at North Wilkesboro. A wheel and modified. I don't know what you want to call him.
Legend.
Legend. Justin Bonsignor.
Jumped to second on the wins list.
So,
Some champions got crowned here as well. We may get a couple weeks in here as we may have missed some here and there, but we'll see what we can get. We touched on Ricky Thornton, Lucas Oil champ. Cody Swanson becomes an 8-time Silver Crown USAC champ. Chase Burdo was the ASACRA Jeg Super Series champion. Brendan Butterbean Queen is your late model stock champion. And then Caden Honeycutt is your pro late model champion.
Yep.
Gabe Summers, for touched on, is the Live for 5 champion. And then on the IMSA Sports Car Series side, the number 7 Penske Porsche of Dane Cameron and Felipe Nasser are your champs there.
Yep.
So.
Champions, from champions to the coming weekend.
Yep.
Got some race previews. Cam, you want the first one or should I take this one?
You could take this one.
XR Super Series makes its return to Pennsboro Speedway. So a lot of conversation around Pennsboro was supposed to reopen this year, was defunct. They had a lot of flooding issues early in the season, so they ended up canceling their opener. They are going to open this coming weekend with the XR Super Series for 3 days of racing. So good to see a track come back. That's had a lot of somber news around racetracks, but good to see one be revived.
All right. World Outlaw Sprint Cars are going to be at Riverside International Speedway for 2 nights of racing. They're going to be racing Friday and Saturday. It's the Bull Ring Blitz. Championships are getting tight. These are going to be the last 2 races before we hit the 4-night World Championships out at Charlotte. Like I said, that points battle is tight between Hawn, Shield, and Gravel, so you got to keep an eye on that. Finishes matter. Getting up to it.
Yep. Cam, last one.
Bring that home with the NASCAR series, all 3 series. triple header this weekend. Trucks and Xfinity at all three NASCAR series at Miami Homestead for a triple header. The Trucks and Xfinity series are going to run a double header on Saturday, so a little day racing, and then the Cup series will run Sunday. Christopher Bell was your winner last year, and as we alluded to earlier in the podcast, Logano already locked himself in. So another opportunity here for those final 8, either to lock yourself in or get some serious points. So that'll be another snoozer. So let's jump into some other races. Our list is getting shorter and shorter, and kick it over the old tire changer. See what he's got.
Yeah, so the Power I Midget Series, they got 3 days of racing coming up. First, they're going to be at Port City Raceway on Friday, let me get my day right. Sorry, Thursday, they'll be at Port City, along with the XR Super Series at Pennsboro we talked about. Then the midgets go to I-44 Riverside for the Mentz Memorial on Friday and Saturday. USAC Amsoil Sprint Cars, their championship race will be this weekend as well. They're going to be at Red Dirt Raceway. That's going to be a Friday and Saturday show for them. Let's see. The Arkham Menards West Series, they're going to be at Kevin Harvick's Kern Raceway. The Wheel and Modified Series are going to be at Martinsville. For the Virginia is Racing Lovers 200. That's going to be their championship race for them. We got a track special. Cordell Motor Speedway's got the World Crown 300 for $35,000. A lot of entries have come in for that.
Big Midwest presence.
Yep, a lot of Midwest guys there. And then Formula One heads down to Mexico for the Mexico Grand Prix. Again, they're getting their points battle gets a little closer, even though Verstappen extended his lead just a tad bit over the weekend. Along with NASCAR, go a little short on the schedule, but again, getting close to the end of the year. Speaking of point standings here, fantasy. I took a little bit of a hit again, and Kellen extends his lead. Here's how the playoff standings sit right now. Cullen, you're at 1360. I am at 1292. Sylvie's Pit Picks is at 1279. Cam, you're at 1246. Gasman's Girls at 1137. And Dietz is at 1022. So, race pick standings getting a little tight again. I'm at 1776. Go America. Cam, you're at 1748. And Kellen, you're at 17, or oops, I switched it on here. Kellen, you're at 1674 for point standings. Race picks. So ultimately, Kellen was the winner last week. He had Byron, I had Larson, and then Cam had Hamlin, which was last. By that order, I get to go first for race picks for Homestead, Miami this weekend. Been mulling over a few guys. I'm staying away from my strategy of going with the previous race winner. I got to stick with my guns here. I got to get my guy into it. Give me William Byron on Sunday.
Cam?
Denny Hamlin.
Perfect. You left me Christopher Bell.
All right. Of note, Bell has won in the next 2 races. He obviously won here last year at Homestead. He also won at Martinsville. So setting himself pretty good.
I'm just absolutely loving where I'm at in the playoff standings right now.
I've got my picks. It's just guys are wrecking on me.
I got some hammers to unleash here.
I've got my hammers too, but like I said, it's just.
I went hammer time 2 this past weekend, but I went 0 for 4 on pick'ems.
Yikes.
Abby won the week. She had 246 points. Just putting a cooking on it. The old tire changer's going to end up third yet before this is all said and done.
I know, this isn't good. Absolute breakdown. Absolute breakdown. I'm still in the lead in the overall season, but that don't mean shit right now.
Paralysis by analysis.
There is no analysis to this. What are you talking about? This is just terrible. Terrible.
All right. Well, Cam, let's wrap her up. We're quite the episode. We're going an hour and 45 minutes already.
Oofta.
Yeah, as always, we always say it's going to be a good jam-packed short episode, and we always overshoot it. But yeah, we had a lot to discuss there, and hopefully you guys have as fun with this episode as we did. We covered everything from the Lucas Oil Dirt Late Models crowning their champion and their past weekend show, Dirt Track World Championships at Eldora, to the Cup Series. We had boots on the ground in old Viva Las Vegas, and then we also had boots on the ground here for the last asphalt super late model race here in Wisconsin. So we covered everything. Again, it was a wild week of news racing, or wild week of news in the racing world, and things are just heating up right now. As we wrap up the end of the season, drivers starting to move seats, and I think more announcements coming out, more rumors getting stirred, and it's only going to heat up from here. So, as always, that wraps up episode number 56 for the Tuesday Track Talk podcast. And as always, don't be afraid to like, comment, subscribe, and send it to your best friend. And we'll see y'all next week. Sack 'em.